Way that. All right, I will call to order the meeting of the Monona City Council for Monday, February 2nd, 2026. You please call the roll.
Alder Wood,
Here.
Alder DePula,
Here.
Alder Phil, here. Alder Bernstein is sick. Alder Rademacher.
I'm here.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Alder Bernstein.
Here.
Alder
All right.
Rademacher. Here. Alder Holmquist is sick. And Mayor Moore is sick.
All right. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the January 20 meeting?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a comment.
All right, Alder Bernstein.
I think Mayor Moore was present. I didn't see that in the notes.
Yeah, it must have been because she called the meeting to order, but she's not listed underneath. So
Yeah.
Thanks for catching that.
Thanks, Alder. You're welcome.
All right, with that change, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The minutes are approved. Do we have any appearances online for anything that's not on the agenda? We do not there. All right. We have no public hearing. There's no consent agenda, council action items. G1A unfinished business. Consideration of the 2026-2027 Class B fermented malt beverage and Class B liquor licenses for Topgolf USA NW 8750 North Central Expressway, Suite 1200 in Dallas, Texas, DBA Topgolf 6400 Gisholt Drive from the License Review Committee. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
No second.
Don't believe we had any other comments or questions from staff.
Right.
Received by staff, so.
Anyone have any other questions about this?
Mr. Walden from Topgolf is available online if there are any questions.
No questions for me.
Okay, thank you. Then all those in favor of approving the motion, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, motion carries. Item 1B, consideration of 2026-2027 patio permit for Topgolf USA MW 8750 North Central Expressway, Suite 1200 Dallas, Texas, DBA Topgolf 6400 Gisholt Drive, Alabama. Also from the License Review Committee. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion on this? Todd, did you have anything you wanted to add at all?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Oh, that was right. Okay.
Well, hey, everybody. Good evening. I think there was one question at the last meeting with respect to has Topgolf ever enlarged their outdoor patio? And I said, very rarely does that ever happen. Well, I'm going to eat my words right now. We're actually proposing to do something, not to add seating, but to expand the fencing a little bit so we can have an area for bag toss, cornhole, things of that nature.
Nice.
So it's not for outdoor seating. It's just for more of a activity area, and essentially just moving the fence line, I don't know, 10 feet or so to the south to accommodate that. We're happy to send a sketch in to that effect, but it does not impact any of the seating area. Just trying to provide, again, more of an outdoor activity area in that patio.
For clarification, would that change things and require a beer garden permit? Because now people are going to be standing and wandering around. Because they're two separate things, beer garden and patio permits.
Right, but the beer garden permit would require them to have a bartender out there at all
Okay.
times, and they weren't interested in doing that. That's why they.
Okay, okay.
If you move the fence, that's gonna enlarge the area where people potentially could drink though, correct?
Well, technically, I guess, yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. But it's again, just the intent of that is not to add more seating capacity. It's just to
Right.
add this activity area.
Right. Yes, I think you need to submit something showing
Okay.
the enlarged area because of, it does change the licensed premises. So,
Would that increase the capacity of the patio? Or is the capacity strictly seating capacity?
Yeah, yes, that capacity was seating capacity that we provided earlier. I think it was 103 seats or something of that sort. So it doesn't change that.
anything else?
So would we move to table this until we get a sketch of it, or?
Um,
Are we,
I think, or we could do that, or we could approve it subject, to receiving
to
that.
review?
Um, yeah, for staff to review to see if it needs. It sounds like it's a pretty minor, it's really a technical change almost.
It's pretty minor. Again, we can submit a plan that illustrates what the proposed change is, but it's not to increase seating capacity. It's just really for this activity area.
Yeah, good, okay. Then, let's see,
So
we already have a motion.
Yep, do we need to amend it?
Yeah,
Yes. So amend the motion to approve to include condition upon receiving the new layout and staff review.
okay,
second.
all right, further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Patio permit is approved.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We'll get that plan into you hopefully next week.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you all. Have a good night. Thank you.
Okay, bye. All right, new business 2A, consideration of resolution 26-2, 2857, approving a design contract amendment with Strand Associates for Nichols Road Reconstruction, Public Works Director. This is start for immediate action. Dan, maybe you could explain why you needed.
Okay. The amendment is nothing related to any contract funding. The current contract has design dates going through December 31st, 2025. And at the city's request, the Nichols Road design and construction has been put off a few years, so that requires the contract date change. So we're extending the PS&E, which is plans, specifications, and estimates, from November 1st, 2025 to November 1st, 2028. And then the design phase ends November 29, 2028. I've asked for this to be started just because it's amending the contract dates. It should be contingent upon Public Works approval this coming Wednesday.
Okay, would someone like to move to take this out of order?
I'll move to take it out of order.
I'll second.
All those in favor of taking the item out of order, say aye.
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 Rick, are you there?
Always muted.
Right.
Alder Bernstein, if you can hear.
Aye.
There you go. Thank you, sir.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That's approved. Is there a motion now to approve the amendment to the signed contract?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further questions? All in favor? Or is this a roll call? No.
No fiscal impact where the
Right.
invoice flow is.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That is approved. Looks like you have another one, Dan.
Yes.
Um. 2B, consideration of resolution 26-2-29-26-2-2859, approving a design contract amendment with MSA for the 2026 Streets Improvement Project, also from the Public Works Director. Dan.
Thank you. This appears tonight for first read only. It will go to the Public Works Committee this Wednesday, February 4th as well. It's a contract amendment for construction management services for MSA. They are the design engineer for the 2026 Street Improvements Project. The amendment amount is $223,550. This meets our capital budget allocation of $225,000. These services to be performed is construction administration, construction staking, and construction observation. Construction is currently out for bid right now. The bids are due February 12th. And I will be bringing all of that through the approval process in the month of March. Be more than happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
No questions.
Okay,
Thank you.
we'll see you next time. Yep.
Thank you.
Two C, consideration of resolution 26-2-2860, approval of a general development plan for approximately 1212 East Broadway by North Point Development Corporation from the Plan Commission. Doug, you want
Thank you.
Thanks.
Absolutely. I can give a quick overview if it's okay, and then I'll pass it over. So, good evening, everybody. The request here this evening is the first read for a general development plan. This is for North Point Phase 3 over on East Broadway. This would be the continuation and effectively the build out of that neighborhood. The proposal here is for 56 units of 8 restricted low-income housing tax credit units, and these would be specifically targeted at 30, 50, 80% of the Dane County area median income. And right now, as I understand it, this project has been submitted for WIDA project concept, and the applicant is waiting to hear back if that's been successful from a tax credit perspective. So as mentioned, this is the general development plan. This is sort of more of the master plan than any of the specifics. But this would be, if this would be approved, this would be paving the way for the project to come forward and for it to come through with the precise implementation plan later this year. So the proposal itself is for a 4-story building with surface and underground parking. This would be very similar in nature to both the Phase 2 building that has been approved and the Phase 1 building that has been constructed. This received unanimous approval last week at the Plan Commission. And you'll see in the resolution, it included the findings of fact and conditions as listed. There was one additional condition that was added by the Plan Commission that was the approval was based on the ability to park along one side of the private drive leading to the site. This is the private drive that connects the site to East Broadway. And I'm sure there'll be more discussion of that as we sort of get into this. But as proposed on the site, the project is 11 stalls short of the city parking standards. With that, though, I would point out that the city does not have any specific standards for age restricted or any variation in the parking allocation. It's simply multifamily residential is all one standard. You will see other communities in Dane County and nationally that do have more sort of differentiation between product types there as well. So certainly happy to go into more details, but I'll pass it over to Sean O'Brien, representing the developer to give a little background.
Well, yeah, he certainly did a nice job of covering it. This will be our third phase, and like Doug had mentioned, Phase 1 has been constructed. We opened that in November of 2024. So we're a little over a year now of operations there. And we're hoping to start phase 2, which we spoke to council about, I think maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago with a Nichols Sites grant, hopefully to start construction with that project here in the next few months. And then for this last phase, you're kind of finishing off the available lots that are over there. So we're looking at another residential building. Like Doug had mentioned, we did submit for a project concept application to WIDA. I actually heard back today that they will be letting us know by Friday if we are then in fact invited back to apply. If we are invited to apply, we would have to turn our application in March, and they would let us know in May. Now, of course, they say May. They also said January for project concept. So, let's just say June, we would know for sure if we'd have tax credits. And if that's the case, if we end up getting the tax credits for the project, you'll probably be looking at, doing construction about 12 months after we start construction on phase 2 here. So let's just say, 13 months from now, you'd be starting construction on that last building. A couple of things that we were able to accomplish, from our pre-hearing, we did take a look at increasing some of the brick that we had on the building. Parking was obviously a concern. So we worked with Carp C. I did get an email from Carp C this morning, stating that, we had a total of 5 additional stalls in our parking lot, 4 of which kind of encroach the environmental corridor. Since this historically was a car junkyard, Carp C has been willing to work with us on their typical standard encroachment. So when we worked with Carp C in other communities, there's no exception to, besides, maybe putting your storm ponds, in the 75-foot setback to wetlands. You have to stay out of the 30-foot no grading, no ifs, ands, or buts. Since this site has some history and previously was pretty much an impervious site, they've let us in certain areas kind of encroach on that and not giving us too much pushback. And so in this case, it really benefited. I would, kind of point out, so, city standards, we are short on the parking. I think if you were to drive over to phase 1 right now and look in the parking lot, you'd see a significant amount of available parking. And that project met city standards, and it's just overparked. And it's great because you'll have we are using some of the stalls from phase 1 to kind of help get over the hump on phase 2, even though they'll never be used for that. But as we look at current where we're at with the parking on site, we're 3 short of 1.5 stalls to 1, which most of our multifamily buildings, regardless of the use, is significant, is sufficient parking. And I would also just point out that our units, there's 41 1-bedrooms and 15 2. So most of this property is going to be smaller unit sizes. And if we are successful in the WIDA tax credits and we go with senior, our portfolio shows that a 55 plus building typically has less car needs. Is it going to be 1-to-1? Probably. But even if you were to say, well, your 1-bedrooms need 1 car and your 2 bedrooms needs 2 cars, we'd have enough parking plus that and enough for guests. So I think we're in good shape parking wise there. We also kind of increased the patio from our first go with planning commission, and really this is going to kind of fill out the neighborhood. And I know that we'll have walking paths that kind of access the other amenities of the other properties. We'll own all 3. So, whether it's parking or amenities, folks will be able to utilize this whole site. One thing I think is really neat is our first phase, we did have the e-bikes, so B-cycle stations here. I just want to kind of throw that out there as it's kind of like a community amenity. We've been working to see if possibly we could do some Dane County EV charge up program. I'm kind of on hold right now because this federal funds and the site historically was considered to need some cleanup. So they're putting me on hold. We'll see if they come back. But regardless, we do have the B-cycle. And, we have B-cycle at one of our other properties in Fitchburg. And there's a lot of community ridership. They seek out the B-cycle. So as you're kind of thinking about this private drive, and is it a good fit for parking? One other thing I would add is, if someone wants to come and find a B-cycle station and go for a bike ride, they'll come on to the private drive and they'll think, where do I park? Do I park on one of the private parking lots, or is there a few spaces that we can park on the drive, which looks like the street, and utilize the B-cycle stations? And so it's one other thing I would just kind of add to the discussion there. But all in all, we're really excited. When we first did the first phase, I know some people were hesitant about having housing there. Now we're looking at possibly, making it a full, kind of grown out neighborhood. And I think it's really maximized the value of the property. It's kind of been underutilized and unused for a very long time. And hopefully within a period of 4 or 5 years, we might go from, having nothing but campers there to having a lot of really nice, sustainable, all of these, the last 2 phases will be LEED Zero Energy certified, Energy Star certified. So we'll be, doing some sustainable housing. Anyone who's able to see our first phase, and see the finishes, that's the type of housing we're building here as well. So we're really excited about it, and here to answer any questions that you might have as well. So thank you.
Questions? So do you have an opinion? I know apparently we'll get into it more. Senator, I'll ask. Speak to that, Andy, or Doug, do you want to introduce apparently there's a disagreement about the requirement for these on-street parking?
Yes, thank you. So the private drive, that was approved separately from any of the other lots that North Point have developed here. When that came through for its approvals, I believe in 2023, it was the White Horse family that represented that, the underlying landowners here. The sort of profile of the street had been determined by the certified survey maps that had gone through, and it was 50-foot wide, and was going to be able to service and connect to East Broadway and be able to service the 3 lots. As part of the approvals, and looking at that, there was sort of a cross section that was prepared of the street width, of the curb, and what the sidewalks and things may look like. And as part of that, one of the conditions of approval is that there shall be no street parking. There should be signs, no parking on both sides. That was something that as phase 1 came through, there were more, the street completed before phase 1 did, so it was quite often a good place for contractors to park as the lot was finishing up. And with phases 2 and 3 of what North Point have now proposed, not being completed and pretty low intensity, staff had decided that the western side of the street could remain available for parking. But as this is sort of filling up and filling out, there was more concern that more vehicles coming down the street, more need for fire service and things like that, and just being mindful of that. So I had flagged that as part of the Planning Commission staff report in terms of the no parking condition being there. It had gone through a department head review, and there'd been some concern shared by the fire chief as well. And I know he's got some more detail that he can provide to this now. But just sort of being mindful of accessibility there and routes. I think the commission, from their discussion last week, saw this as an opportunity to pick up a few extra stalls and sort of negate that 11 stall deficit and maybe get a little closer to matching code. But I think just from a staff position, it would be looking elsewhere for that would probably be the recommendation, certainly based on what Chief McMullen have shared as well.
Look, what do you mean looking elsewhere?
I would suggest whether it's shared parking, cross parking between the shared ownership, or possibly considering is there a way to get 2 more stalls or a handful more at grade potentially. The site is very very well set right now in terms of its open space. So a couple extra stalls or something like that at grade would not really negate or impact that too negatively. It may need further car seat consideration, for example, but if we're looking for a couple of stalls, that could potentially be an option or potential reconfiguration of that. Just something to be a possibility.
Okay. Did you have anything or you want me to just?
I would just certainly was just passing along the chief's comments this morning, so I would turn it over to Jerry if he's still on listening.
Chief?
There he is.
Yeah.
I am listening. Hi from Green Bay. So I will restate my comments from the email I sent to Doug. So the original approval included no parking on both sides. That street is 26 feet from curb to curb. And while it was just the townhomes that we were responding to, which are two-story townhomes, we didn't have an issue with waiving the west side parking on that. Once you start constructing buildings above that, I need aerial access. It's required by code. It's 26 feet, unobstructed. Sent it in the letter I sent to Doug. Having a certain area painted off in front of the building, especially phase two, does me no good. That's not where we would position the aerial. For anything that's 30 feet or above, we'd generally be parking at the corners of the building. So I can tell you from personal experience, that street is really tight even now. But once you start adding two more four-story buildings, um, the operating width of the aerial is 18 feet, and I need space on each side for my folks to be able to walk on either side of that. So if you take 8 foot for a parking lane from a 26-foot street, you're talking 18 feet. I simply don't have enough space to operate safely for buildings that are 30 feet or above. The code references are clear. Um, as I understand it, the street was supposed to be wider, but was built at 26 feet. Because of that, there is simply no room for parking on either side. So I would register my opposition as I sent to Doug for parking at all. We waived it on the west side once the initial building was built because the only buildings on that street that we would access were two-story townhomes. Now you're looking at building two four-story buildings, and that is our sole access point to get to those four-story buildings. You add parking on that street in any part of it, it restricts our access with our aerial to the point it's unusable. So I'm happy to answer questions. The code is very clear on aerial access, especially once you go above 30 feet above grade. But I'm happy to answer any questions, but 100% opposed to parking on that street at all once you put up two more four-story buildings. If we had a second access point, that'd be great. We don't. That is our sole access point to 110 or 111 units of senior housing, and there's no good way to say it. There's simply no access if you allow parking on that street.
Okay. Anybody have questions? I think we all got a copy of that email that the chief was referring to. He said that today, right? Sean, do you have an opinion one way or the other about the on-street parking? Or-
Well, I mean,
It sounds like it made it.
well, I mean, if I were, from my perspective, I think the code in saying that an 11 stall short for any use at 40 or 56 units is a little bit, out of what's actually needed. So I mean, I would never disagree with Chief. Obviously, two reasons. One, like, he wants to make sure that if my buildings are, have an emergency, he can get to them. So I totally get that, and I'm not going to push against that. I mean, what we tried to do was just to kind of show, where could the truck be parked on the street, in practice. One of the things I don't like about this is it shows a 9-foot parking lane and a 17-foot drive. I think Chief needs 20 feet. And in, reality, is that parking lot, parking lane at 9 feet can be necessary, something more like 6. So then that gets you closer to 20 and we're close. But again, I'm not going to go against the, recommendation. I guess I would just more focus on that. We have significant parking, for all three of our phases and for our commercial building on this site. It certainly has come in useful for some of the townhome tenants to park on the street. They do have space, they have one stall in the garage, they have space to park a car behind the garage. We found a lot of folks that, live in the townhomes use the garage for other storage over parking their cars in them. But again, like other communities, let's say, for example, Oregon completely changed the parking code regardless of size of unit. It's 1.5 stalls per unit. Obviously the city of Madison, completely different, but I got yelled at for having a 24 unit and 18 parking stalls. Like they're like, that's too much parking, because we're on the bus line. So we've added the B cycle. We've added, the city has been really kind to put the bus stop across the street. So I think we're in good shape for parking. My whole thing with why we came with the exhibit this go around was that we have the parking on the west side. Why don't we put some lines on the street so people know where they can and can't park? But that was before we got the opinion of the chief.
Right.
So it's like, well, people are parking there anyway. We should put some lines on it, and then why not count the stalls? But I can understand the chief's concerns.
Okay. So, does anybody else have questions? Comments? Teresa?
I just questions. So if parking would not be allowed at all on that stretch of road that the chief is concerned about, then you would be 11 units short based on Monona ordinances.
Correct.
But Monona ordinances require a little more parking than other communities do.
Correct.
So if you were building this exact same building in a different community, you may not have fallen short of the required parking.
Correct.
And right now you're seeing a lot of empty parking stalls. And the current buildings are at capacity.
Correct. Yeah, we're about 97% occupied, and I think we're about 50% utilized. There's a lot of, we have 62 stalls, 62 stalls underneath the building, and those are used.
Yeah.
And so this our surface parking, all the townhomes have, again, one stall behind them. So,
yeah.
The parking lot's about 50%, at night. So we're really overparked, and that's for a family use. And so we have a significant amount of 3 bedrooms at that property. I think we have, out of the 75, I believe, there's 16 3 bedrooms. So we have a lot larger units, at the first phase, and not that don't show a need for the parking.
Was there any concern from the members of the planning commission about 11 stalls short on parking? Or
Not really.
I feel like that's just a trend that the world is moving
Yep.
in that we need to get behind. Yeah. Okay.
And I think if I may add as well, just from the pre-hearing to the consideration of the additional 5 stalls as well. I think the plan at grade had been refined as well for the consideration to get a little bit closer as well. So I think that really helped.
If you even need that. And we've got bus, we've got ways to get around without cars.
Most of those units are 1 bedrooms.
Right, families are trying to get.
And they
with
don't
one
have standards
car.
for, it's all units.
Right.
Parking is attributed to units.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
what we talked about at planning commission.
Right.
So if the council at the next meeting were to approve it, but without the parking condition that plan required, would it need to go back to planning commission? Or is this
What did plan require?
the on-street parking?
Oh,
Well, it was Doug, it was more of a let council handle that.
So the GDP comes as a recommendation from the plan to council. So my read would be that you would just strike that condition 7.
Not a zoning permit.
so I think what I'm hearing you say, Doug, is we decide whether there's concern about those 11 stalls being,
We have final say on it, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, I tend to agree with what the comments have been about the parking requirements, but I kind of like to see some data on it. And
Yeah.
I don't know,
It is kind of anecdotal. Yeah.
whether it's related to fewer stalls needed for senior housing or like just, comparing our standard to others. I know we've done that
Yeah.
before, but I mean, the fact is, these are the standards that we have right now. So if we're gonna do an exception from them, we gotta have a reason. So
I should say as well as the 11 that we proposed along the street, I think the plan commission were really focused on the 3 closest to the site, weren't they? So that they would be most attributed to this development. So
Well, what we said was we're 3 short of 1.5 to 1. But even at like 1.45 stalls per unit, again, with how many 1-bedrooms that we have, it's sufficient parking for the property. But that's what the comment was. If there was 3 stalls that were full of. So on our parking plan, there was 3 stalls in front of the fire lane that we had on our plan. And so like, if you were to put a sign up that said these 3 stalls are reserved for folks that are 1212 East Broadway, that would get you to 1.5 to 1. If that were what, would be the desire of and then the conversation kind of moved up, was like, well, what's the difference between 3 stalls and 9 stalls? And then they said, let's punt that up to council. so yeah.
And I think it would certainly be easy to work with Sean to verify the expositional capacity in the existing lot too.
Yeah.
right.
So
I mean,
you can certainly do that.
there were many reasons why we pushed hard to bring Madison Metro to our community. And one of the hopes was that eventually we could lower these parking requirements if we provide citizens with an alternative means of transportation.
All right, anybody else have any questions or comments?
Not for me.
Thanks. All right, you can try to see you next time. All right. All right, item H, reports of committees, commissions, boards, mayor, city administrator, city utility, department managers, sustainability efforts, and diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Cheney, you want to start?
So council, thank you, acting mayor. Just a couple of quick things to report on. Our crew 3 of 3 are back from the warm state of Arizona from train the trainer grappler training. They report back, Lieutenant Knockran reports back that it was a really good training. Lot of good success stories coming out of the agencies who are using them, but sending folks to get trained to train others. And so we're very, very hopeful. We are working with their outfitter right now to schedule a time in which to get our F-150 equipped with the grappler device. That said, if you recall during you may or may not recall, in my budget requests, I requested 2 vehicles, 2 squad cars that was reduced to 1 for this year, but 2 for next year. The reason I'd asked for 2 is because we had a need, frankly, for 2. But I respect the decisions that the mayor made and this council made. The reason I bring that up is because one of our patrol cars that's the oldest in our fleet is not doing well. And that was one of the ones I was hoping to replace this year. So instead of the all-electric vehicle that I was hoping to get, you may see me at a future council meeting here soon asking for a regular petrol vehicle. But we found a way to budget a Chevy Tahoe that will be able to equip the grappler device, working within the same budget you allotted for the all-electric administration vehicle. So that's something that you'll likely hear me come before you and take into consideration for discussion. So that just happened like today. Just got word about that. And then secondly, the facility service dog program, which is something that we are exploring with the Monona Grove School District. tying a service dog with our SRO, and our SRO program has taken flight, so much so that the superintendent has signed her version of the MOU. We've got some things on our end that we need to do, but that'll be going before public safety on Wednesday, and they'll be doing a presentation with the persons who actually own the dog and will be giving it on loan to us, and that is Custom Canines nonprofit organization, the same group that goes to you may know them from responding to tragedies such as Abundant Life and providing support. They also came here after Abundant Life to provide your officers support as well. And that's where I truly firsthand saw how wonderful these service animals are. They're trained to detect emotional needs and can sense anxiety. It's phenomenal what we don't know about the capabilities of dogs. I mean, if you think about it, we've seen them track for cadavers, right? And that's wow. Obviously, they track drugs, but they've tracked for people miles and miles and miles and found lost and endangered people. I've seen it in my career. And so now, you know, there's proven record that these dogs are able to sense when people have these emotional needs based on stress or anxiety. And so that's wonderful. So we hope to do a presentation at public safety. My hope then and after that is to bring them hopefully to a future council meeting. But everything on the school district side is squared away. They're really enthusiastic about it. I hope to get things going. And the mayor has been behind the scenes helping me with that same enthusiasm. And we hope to do intros for all of you in the near future.
So how do you imagine, like on an average day, if I walked into one of the schools and saw this dog, what would it be doing?
Likely
sandwich.
Smoke.
Yeah, not a break laying down in the corner. No, so it'll be tied to our SRO, and I'm going to suspect, based on the interactions I've seen, and this similar programs are with SROs throughout the state. Like Wausau has an SRO program where they have their dogs that have facility dogs. Their officers have facility dogs. It's going to likely increase positive interaction. And then it might alert our SRO to maybe some indicators that he may not have noticed or seen himself. And I suspect that it might open up conversation and dialogue that will help us better serve our young population.
And which school would it be at?
So Luke is primarily physically at the high school. However, he also the site visits regularly at MG21 and in Winnequa. I suspect that he's going to likely do a lot more of that. But his principal, and based on the MOU, his principal assignment location will be Monona Grove High School.
And can you refresh my memory, sorry, the cost of this service?
Gratis, at no cost to the city. It is completely funded by this nonprofit organization.
Great.
The dog is their dog that they are assigning and providing. We're working on an MOU with them to the city. They are self-insured. The city will be named under that insurance, and we've worked with Bill Cole and Leah and working with Civnic to help get the proper language and what we need to make that happen. But they're entirely funded by donors, and they provide this service free of charge. So that's great.
Yeah.
And that's all I have.
All right, Chief. Alder Kugel.
Tourism Commission met since last meeting. I'd say made some tough decisions in reduction of requests, and there's very limited funds left available for future applicants. So
I'm sorry, the community festival, was that already taken care of or no?
they have not.
They have not, okay.
I want to say like 25 to 30 grand is all that's left.
It's 33.5.
Okay.
Was the number.
Wow. And what's the annual replenishing rate? Like, what do we expect?
The allocation is actually about 400,000. That goes,
year.
that's the
That comes in.
70% of the overall room taxes that come to the commission is about $400,000.
Yeah.
So the main differentiation was between, I think we had 7 applicants.
Mhm.
And then the MESBA as our tourism entity was
Yeah,
the larger,
right.
was the larger chunk of the fund.
Sounds like we need another hotel.
Yeah, it would help. I would help the room tax situation, that's for sure.
Funny.
Teresa,
Yeah, no meetings since our last time together, but this being the first week of the month, we've got Public Works coming up on Wednesday, and as Director Stefani was saying, the two items we talked about tonight will be on the agenda, along with something we talked about at the last council meeting, was the renaming of that street near the Topgolf.
Schultz, yep.
Yep, Gishel, yeah. This month's sustainability committee will not meet because we're gonna give Neil a little more time to to put together his report, and we'll see that then in March. And then the following week, we've got transit coming up, which just a question to folks around the table here. I know that a while ago I had planned on presenting some transit statistics, but the more we got to thinking about it, the more we thought, let's just wait until we're closer to the 1 year anniversary date, 1 year in Monona. So if there are any particular statistics that you would like to see, from Metro, please let me know. I'd be happy to get those for us. And then next week also we'll have the community media committee that will be meeting.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's it.
all right, here,
Oh, I'm sorry. There is something sustainability. So Wednesday, I am participating in the Clean Lakes Alliance Renew the Blue meeting. The mayor and I usually go, but she won't be joining us. And this is just their, I don't know what you would call it, a renewal of their Renew the Blue compact. So they're just revising it, revisiting like 19 communities representing, just trying to find ways to come together and keep our lakes healthy.
good, thank you.
Yeah.
Patrick,
Public safety meets on Wednesday, and we're going to discuss a potential resolution responding to, well, in regard to mutual aid with our, it's in response to potentially in response to Madison's resolution regarding mutual.
okay, you said this Wednesday,
This Wednesday, yes.
but that's Public Works.
No, we're so public safety is meeting this Wednesday as well. It's we've changed the date.
Okay,
There's just some scheduling issues.
At the libraries, bring your Colts or log in.
Yes.
Just
So I'll probably show up here.
I was just gonna say,
that's easy enough to redirect you. We're all, somebody will get you back over, that's fine.
where location wise, where
At the library.
you're in the library.
Yes.
Okay.
No, she's Rachel. She's Rachel, not the library.
Oliver Bernstein, anything to report?
No report.
All right, thanks, Rick. Leah, anything?
Just wanted to let voters know that in-person absentee voting for the February 17th primary begins tomorrow. 8 o'clock at City Hall, during Monday through Friday, normal business hours of 8 to 5.
All right, thank you.
Doug, if I could, I just want to give a shout out to our Monona Parks and Rec department. This past Saturday, there was a curling competition, a winter bonspiel at the river rink.
Village fun.
16 teams from across the region came in. We were talking with a family of 4 people from Rhinelander that drove down to compete.
Huh.
It was really impressive.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Neil, anything?
Just a few things. Obviously, the reason we are in this room this evening, we had a boiler go down at the library here late on Friday. Temporary repair has been fixed and hopefully going to get us through till April when we have our bid due for getting these things back. Hopefully, knock on wood, we will be able to get back in and continue to utilize the facility. We weren't sure about tonight, so we scheduled this one here. In addition to relocating the Mesbas Edge meeting, the Economic Development Government meeting, we moved that into the community center for Wednesday just to be on the safe side. But like this right now, so we'll know more. I think as we get a few days under our belt and having it operate to see if we can be able to move back in there short term. We did also have a water heater go down the fire department this last weekend, which unfortunately is kind of like not like the rest of us. We can just be loud. We can just sit around and be stinky for a couple more days. If we need to wait till the weekend, those guys need to have responding calls. They need to be able to clean up and get rid of the shower. So we did get that in. They got the repairs made and that back up and functioning this last weekend. But again, not a great start for maintenance things for January here going into the start of the year. Public Safety Building Ad Hoc Committee did meet here about a week ago. We're going to be working with the mayor on an update for council here. That either at the next meeting or the following meeting. So watch for more information on that. Alder Kugel referred to the tourism funding. We did have a meeting with Brian Henry from the Community Festival, and we think that I think their application is probably going to come in within that dollar figure. Very fortunate that's the case, but still need to work out a few details with them on that. Also, we just want to acknowledge them. They came in and brought grant checks from the festival, from Revenue Festival to PD, to Fire, to Public Works, to WVMO, and Parks, I believe, too. So 5 different grants that they brought, from revenues that they earned at the festival last year. So very much appreciative of that. Certainly the dollar figure is the number of dollars is great and will certainly go to a good cause, but I think also a really great sign in terms of the relationship we've got with the festival at this point in terms of their support. So very much appreciated for that. We did have the chief, myself, and Mayor Moore met with Voces de la Frontera. It just had about a half hour, 45-minute, just kind of information sharing meeting. Again, really their staff was really super engaging, and we're just there, wanted to know they're there as a resource. Wanted to just make sure they had a good line of communication open to the city if that need should ever arise. I just wanted to make sure we put names to faces into emails and phone numbers. So all really just a really great meeting with that. Looking forward to continuing working with them. Jake is working with MG&E on possible installing some level 3 chargers at Ahuska Park, possibly. More information will be coming on that. Will be coming to the Parks Committee, I believe, here in the next month or so. But excited to see about the opportunities they might bring there. Looking at probably bringing back some revisions to the room tax ordinance in the next month or so. Just number one, because of court actions that have been happening at the state level, but also just from a logistics and administration level from staff. We may be asking for some discussion on that.
Room tax or short term?
Short term rentals, not on the short term rental ordinance, but yeah. Well, sorry, makes sense. It's actually that is it should actually the short term rental ordinance actually is one.
So you're not okay.
Yeah, that one specifically that's the one that had legal charging.
Yeah.
We're also looking at bringing back potentially, obviously, with Sean's project, possibly bringing back an amendment to the fee schedule to have a per housing unit charge for senior housing projects as something to consider, rather than just a straight up multifamily charge on that. And last but not least, Chrissy Call, our city clerk, is on board. She is not here tonight because she's getting ready for election stuff, really generally. Leah has been kind enough to sub in at least 1 or 2 more times until she gets her feet underneath her on the elections. But we'll be seeing more of her and hopefully get to officially meet her as council very quickly. So that's my report.
Let's see. MPO meets this week. Then we're looking at some amendments to the TIP plan. License review committee, I'm not sure if we'll be meeting next week or not. I have to check with Chrissy and Leo to see where we're at with that. And that's it. Otherwise, just kind of filling in as needed for the mayor for a few days, and expect her to be back pretty soon. With that, where there's no appointments, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned.
I have a question for you.
Bye, everybody.